Hello YouTubers! Tommy here from Overland Transportation System with yet another update on building my shelf layout. Today I started putting the fascia on the front of the layout. So let's turn the camera around and we'll get right to it. Okay, here we are, we're back, and this just shows a very simple 4-foot piece of fascia. When I built this layout, I built all of these sections into 4-foot modules that are connected together with bolts. But when I ran the track, I should probably have had my switches not span the crack between the modules. But, you know, we always got to make concessions, and I was more concerned with a smooth track plan than having all the track just so in case I have to ever take it apart. So I'll cross that bridge when that day comes, if it comes. So I built this in 4-foot sections. So I bought a sheet of 8-foot by 4-foot hardboard, and I asked the guy at the Home Depot if he could cut this up for me on their saw, and they said they could only cut no smaller than, I think it was something like 12 inches or something like that. And I wanted these pieces here to be 7 inches, and I wanted them to come an inch above the layout and an inch or so below. So I just had them cut everything into 14 inches, and then I cut that in half to get my 7-inch width. Now, to put these things on here and keep them nice and straight and level, I took this piece of trim, this 1-inch trim, and I spanned the layout with that, and I just took my clamps and I clamped. Now this is screwed on here, but I'm just showing you the technique that I used. Okay, so I clamped the hardboard on the layout so that it was flush with this piece of molding. So as long as I use that molding right on down the layout, this measurement here will always maintain all the way around. And I've got this overhang down here for this drape. That was my Christmas present, as I mentioned in the last video. This is just T-pinned on the layout right into the foam for now to get an idea of how it was going to hang, how it would look. And what's really going to happen is I'm going to use Velcro on this last inch down here, and the curtain will be Velcroed all the way around the layout below all the cuts. So I did this one here to make a nice straight cut. There's no fancy cutouts. Wanted to see how it was going to work. The only thing I did have to do with my angle brackets that I use, they do protrude out the front of the layout. So I took, once I hung this in place from the back side, I took a magic marker. See if we can even see it. No, you can't. But I took a magic marker and I traced underneath this bracket, and when I screwed it to the layout, which I set my screws at 4.5 down center, 1 inch from the edge center. I did that on both ends, and then I just kind of split the difference a little bit the way it would look pleasing to get my centers. And so I would have 4 mountings, and it would just look all spaced out nice. All right, so once I put that up there, and I kind of like pounded on this a little bit, I got a mark on the back side, and I already had the magic marker horseshoe drawn underneath it. And so when I flipped it over, I could see where the center needed to be for a hole. And I just drilled a hole out that would be wide enough for that thing to protrude, the shelf bracket to protrude, and that would keep this nice and flat. Okay, so here's a nice easy cut. We'll go down here and I'll show you some of the more intricate cuts that I've done also. This here, this one at the front of the light, the very first one, is probably the toughest one, and it will be the toughest of all that I have to do. I had 3 different things going on here, so I made an average of what the slot needed to be as far as width and height, and I just cut 1 square out. Again, you can see where I had to cut for the shelf bracket to protrude, and then you run down here a little bit more, and of course we got the thing for my my power on for my 3 locomotives, and my bracket for my NCE power cab. I've been meaning to mention this on a couple of my videos now. On this holder here, as you can see, pull this right on out. This is a regular plastic holder. It's much longer than what's there now. I cut it up just to give me what I needed to hold this in place. It'll always stay stationary. It won't come out and be used. So it's just a nice plastic holster to hold that. But you look at the price of them. And what I did the rest of the way around the layout, the screws that I was using to put this thing together, these 3-inch screws, I merely took some clear plastic hose and I screwed into the hose to give me a protective finish so the screws wouldn't mar up my holsters. And I saved a bunch of money by just putting those screws in around the layout to hold my throttles. Yeah, I got a pair here. This is going to be my next piece here that I'm going to do, and I've got another one down here. Okay, so these modules, like I say, are 4 foot. Like in here now, this is where I had to change my measurement to make my corner. So that will be a piece all by itself. This inner corner will be a piece by itself. And of course, this is a little different than 4 feet. So that'll be the last one I do all by itself. My next piece from this line here, right on down to here, that's a 4-foot module. So the only cuts that I will have on this one will be this holster. And like I said, in here, I'll just take and measure down. I'll take this piece here, and I'll measure from here down to the center of these screws, and I'll measure from the end of my board in center and in. And what I can do is just take those measurements and drill a nice hole where they need to be, and it's a nice clean fit. And so that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I'm going to turn this off, and when I come back, probably all the fascia will be done, and we'll just do an update and wrap it up. Alrighty, so thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later. Oh, when I cut these boxes out, what I did was I took a hole saw, I drew the square out, I took a hole saw, and I cut in the center, and that allowed me to take my jigsaw, go in the hole, and then run it down along the edges to make a nice square cut. Alrighty? Alright, so we will catch you later on the next update. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're back, and we have the fascia all installed, and I have a 1-inch Velcro strip installed, and I installed this all the way to one little piece lacking at the very end, because I wanted to show the installation process that I did to install this Velcro. The reason is because I found out I had a lot of trouble getting the right adhesive to put this Velcro on this Masonite. Now, this Masonite has got the shiny side out, the rough side is in. I have this Masonite extending up past the layout a good solid inch. The reason I did that is because I don't know how I'm going to contour the 3 layers of foam yet. And so when I do start to contour, I can take this Masonite off in sections, contour my foam, put it back on, then trace this back side and cut on the line with my jigsaw. Now, I thought it was going to be a very easy task to adhere the Velcro to the Masonite. I did not purchase the self-sticky kind. I got the straight kind that you sew, because we're going to sew one edge to my brown curtain that was my Christmas present, and we will of course have to rehem it because it's pinned up at this height now, and it comes down to the floor at a nice height from the floor, so we will rehem that. But I tried the liquid nails for projects, and I let it sit a day, and when I put the other half of the Velcro against this, it pulled right off. I then tried Aleene's leather, suede, and projects adhesive. That held a little better than the liquid nails, but it too pulled off. So I went to fabric store. I asked the people that worked in there what they would suggest, if they knew of any adhesive they could recommend. I Googled putting Velcro on Masonite on the internet, and the 2 products that were recommended was Gorilla Glue and E6000. Well, I went with the E6000, and I tested it on a little short piece here in the corner, let it sit a day, put the other Velcro piece against it, pulled it, and it stayed perfect. So I chose to go E6000 adhesive on this. The reason I want to show how I go about it is because the E6000, while if you're just doing some little repair job, not a problem. But to do a project like this, it's quite a different animal. For one, the E6000, if you're not familiar with it, it's very much like honey. It's not like nice smooth caulking at all. It's very toxic. They say it causes cancer. Don't get it on your skin. So I got you got white, clear, and black, and I had to go. This is what's left out of the second tube. The first tube I used clear. They were out of the clear. I got white. The white's fine. And I just wanted to show the process that I use on this last little piece. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to get prepped. And Jan will take charge of the camera at that point, and we'll glue up and install this last little piece. Alrighty, be back in a minute. Okay, we're ready. Jan, my handy camera lady, is holding the camera now, and so I have these surgical gloves. About every 4 strips I do need to change the glove. So I got a brand new glove. We got the E6000, my gluing board. So all I do is take my time and I run a nice thin bead down each edge. Come down here, pulling the glue away from me so I don't bunch the Velcro up under itself, pushing. It's like pushing a rope. This way here, I can just go right on down here. Make sure I got this surface glued good. And then in a second, we're going to smear this so it's going to work real good. As you can see, this is like I say, like working with honey. Okay, now we're going to go over to the layout. I've got a pencil line drawn for my thickness, the width, and again, I run a nice thin bead on down pretty close to the line. Come on back. And this is how I did this all the way across. Back and forth. Make sure I get enough on the surface. Okay. Then I take the finger and we smear it in between the lines. Try to get a nice, even, smooth, coated surface that's all fully coated. Okay, now we'll go back over to the Velcro. I can cap this. Again, smearing this on down. And what we want to do here especially is get all the way out to the edges. Get a nice, smooth, even coat of this E6000. If you look, it's all nice and sheened all the way. I got a good solid surface. I take the glove off. And we will go put this on the layout. Starting with where I ended off. Following my line. Feeling the edge on the bottom. And there we are. I push this up and down a little bit, make sure I got a good even coat. Push it on there nice, back and forth, back and forth. Make sure there's no air bubbles. Make sure it's a good grip. And there it is. And we'll leave that go. Now I won't put the other part against this at least for 24 hours and pull it. Make sure that we got good adhesion. If we're a good go, as we were over in the corner, then the other part will get sewn onto this fabric, and then the curtains will get put on here, rehem the length, and this part of the layout will be done and good to go. We can move on to the back and eventually start contouring the surface. So, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I thank you. And like I say, the reason I really wanted to do this demonstration is because I was hoping if someone wanted to duplicate what I've done, that you wouldn't retrace my failures learning on your own. Learn from my mistakes, my experience with this stuff, and save yourself some headaches. Alrighty, we will catch you later. Bye-bye.